Tilly over here has never played Mortal Kombat.
No, I haven't.
We have the old school first edition arcade game in that restaurant over there. So pick your character. Oh, I forgot. This is when they only had very few characters. This is crazy.
I still have memories of going to the arcade when I was 12, 13, 14 years old after school. When I first came onto this project, when I talked to the studio about this, within moments they were like, whoa, this guy knows way too much stuff.
I dressed up like Scorpion for Halloween, right? Like, I was running around the house like, get over here, like playing this game all night with my friends in elementary school. Like, this is still a big deal to me.
I guess I would have been in about grade 2 or something, and it was playing it on Super Nintendo. Just, you'd press so many buttons.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Just press stuff.
I played the game when I was a kid. I think I remember it was on Sega. Mostly me and my friends, we play Sub-Zero.
It's funny because I think in the beginning, if I imagine, they were creating this video game, they probably just thought, hey, what's cool?
I think the first time I played it was in an arcade. And then I owned Mortal Kombat Trilogy on PlayStation. And so I would play that. And my parents weren't too happy with me playing that game. So I would sneak and play it late at night and get in trouble. And now look at me, Mom. So.
If you look at the evolution of the games, the stories that have come in the last couple of games are far more expansive and far more kind of wide-ranging and layered than just, it's Tom. I looked across the board at the entire history and what's new and then what's classic and really tried to sort of balance those things up.
Simon's mission statement for this movie aligned with my mission statement from day one, which is that we want to elevate the bar on this. We want to make a real emotional story, but at the same time, we never wanted to slight the fans. We wanted to give them what they wanted.
It can't just be all the drama. It can't just be the stunts. People really want to see heads go splat. And that's the bottom line. Humans are weird creatures.
When you're playing the video games, the first time you do a fatality, you'll never forget that. Because you're going, oh my God, oh my God.
Favorite all time, spine. The spine, what do you call spine rips? Of course, that's Sub-Zero.
Finish it. That's one of them, right?
I only know any of Liu Kang's fatality, the dragon fatality. Play the game, you'll see.
Kano's heart rip, which is a blast from the original game.
For Kung Lao, I mean, I think he has one of the coolest fatalities.
Flawless victory.
Round 2.
Oh, there's a round 2.
One of the big challenges of adapting this to the screen was that I wanted to put all the characters in there. You know, there's 70 plus characters in this, but I made sure, and right from the beginning, that I wasn't going to overload it. I wanted to make sure that whatever characters that I was going to put in the story had real purpose.
We really care about the fan base, and I've always talked about respecting the material. I felt the pressure on really trying to make sure that every single character was well realized with their costume. Cappy Island, who's the costume designer, did the most incredible job on all the costumes. I mean, I just was pushing and pushing and pushing, and she was phenomenal.
I read a lot of stuff, backstories about all the different characters. We use real textures, real fabrics, earthy, like leathers and cottons and metals, and nothing too shiny and new, nothing too sort of superhero-y.
The origin of the suit, as you can see here in the fine detail, is the bracelet that my daughter made for me in the beginning of the film.
Kung Lao is the traditional Chinese, although interestingly the Kung Lao hat is actually a Korean style hat. He's got this like Chinese sort of tabard and this leather belt with jade on it. So there's lots of little Chinese references. Sub-Zero was the first costume that we sort of worked on and got across the line. We ended up using a traditional Chinese armour pattern. And then it was all about the mask and the hood and how do we do that. So we decided to create this kind of sinewy muscle feel. So it's not really a hood, it's not really skin, it's sort of, you know, somewhere in between. Scorpion sort of referencing a bit of a samurai vibe with the armour. And then we've got the kunai, which what Harumi was digging in the garden with and becomes part of his weapon. And his colour is obviously yellow and gold. Gone, instead of for a bright yellow, it's a much more rustic sort of yellow. Kano, he's being a real character from the real world. We decided to try and keep that sort of cross, the big circle reference that he has in previous incarnations by making this kind of snake. Jax, for us, was really all about pants and boots. He's got some sort of cool jeans, like designer jeans, but, you know, still with a bit of a military sort of vibe to them. Like Kano and like Sonya, comes from a very military background. So Sonya, again, like Kano and Jax, and also her previous incarnations, has to be a tough woman as well. And so she's basically a tank top and gloves, and she's just ready for action wherever she goes. She's got knife pouches and all sorts of stuff going on with her pants, lots of pockets, again, military boots. So very in the same world as Jax and Kano, but has her own sort of style as well. Shang Tsung, we kind of based him on ancient Chinese armour and the whole thing about him being a soul sucker. So we designed this chest plate with tortured souls, which we created here and moulded and made these amazing chest pieces and shoulder pieces. So he basically just has tortured souls all over him. Bukabal is interesting because he is one of the only characters that's actually come from the real world, because he's an ex-policeman.
We've got the original drawing up here on the wall, so that's kind of what we were working from.
And a lot of his elements on his costume, if you sort of take a closer look, he's got the black dragons on his scarf. He's carrying the police badge of his fallen partner, Stryker, who is another character.
He's also got some hidden Easter eggs on this mask.
All of his special moves for PlayStation and from Xbox. Really fine print on his forehead. And that's my sister's birthday. Shout out to you, man.
Yeah, he's got a lot of references to what he was like before he became what he is now.
In one of his final scenes, he gets totally engulfed in flame. So I've been working on some sort of more extreme burn effects for that one.
How do you get those?
Literally just burning it.
I went into each of these worlds that we needed to create, and my first thing was to, okay, how can I make it feel both unreal and very real at the same time?
Mount Crawford for us, when we initially got here, there's obviously a lot of stuff in the script that is in the woods. There's lush, sort of green environment, which we're in the driest state in Australia. So you kind of start to go, how are we gonna, we don't have that kind of rainforesty vibe, everything else. But what we managed to find was just this beautifully kind of semi-open area, lots of rocks to give it some depth and some texture and everything else, and layers and stepped areas. And then through the wonderful nature of greens and fake moss and, plant gardens and everything else, created this really moody green environment.
My bullet point to Jacob in locations was just find me big, epic locations. I don't care if they're hard to get into. I don't care if we can't get in and shoot them, at least show them to me and we'll see what we can do. So we did. We went to this Lee Creek coal mine that had been disused, and the miners were happy to bring us in and happy to show us around.
The Lee Creek coal field, it's like 85 hectares of otherworldly black environment. You kind of go, why wouldn't you just go and shoot plates here, you know, and then put everybody on a green screen? But that goes against what we're trying to do in this film. The reality is it's not a particularly pleasant environment to be in. It's hot, it's dusty, but we're there doing it. You get better performances out of everyone on the site. They feel like they're somewhere else.
No one wants to go and shoot in the bottom of a coal mine, but when you go down there and we have this incredible costumes and these incredible actors, and then you put them in this incredible location, all of a sudden it becomes another world.
It's easy to go down the video game world and make believe everything, but what Simon and I wanted to do the whole way through on this was just ground everything.
This was a big surprise for us and ended up informing Raiden's Temple so much.
Cooper Pedy gave us the big archways, the old opal mines. So we found these gigantic old opal mines that are just left there because they've searched and they've found their opals and they've stopped. But now there's these massive archways, so why not just turn them into Raiden's Temple? They've never been filmed, and it was just a sort of a searching exercise, you know, good old-fashioned scouting for unique places.
This is called the Black Hill Quarry, which, to be honest with you, doesn't look like this anymore at all.
This particular location, there's only one access road down, and you know, just yesterday it was 105 degrees on top. And as you can imagine, as you get down here, you actually feel it in the soles of your feet. So everyone's happy not to go here until we shoot it, because we shoot it at night. It's a granite quarry that is about 2 hours from Adelaide. When we scouted it, this was all dirt. And they stripped all the dirt and came up with this crazy, angular, solid, smooth floor.
So actually one of the tricks is making it feel not like a set, because it's actually so kind of perfectly built and placed and everything else that you kind of go, that looks like a soundstage. However, it isn't.
South Australia's been incredible for finding these, rare, never seen before locations. Visual effects did an amazing job of what is probably one of the more kind of fantasy, which you need in balance with the real sort of elemental stuff. Melina's teeth were a really tricky one, and so this was really important for her to reveal so just completely primal and aggressive in this moment. Godfrey had that great idea. He said, hey, what if they actually ripped there?
Melina's got a cut back here, and I'll take it over totally in CG. That worked out really well. Reptile is a CG character. As far as the skin goes, there'll be probably 4 layers. You'll see parts of these things open up and you'll see through. When it's down, it becomes invisible. When it rolls up, there's more of a visibility. He's quadruped and also biped. So not only does he react like a reptile, but also he can stand up on his hind legs. Because we've got a moment where he actually challenges everybody. And the place is burning down, he lifts up, and he goes into attack, and they go into attack. Natari, she's a good character. She's got these fabulous wings. Each wing is 3 yards long. It really is what looks cool. What looks cool, what looks good. I do want her to feel as though the wings actually are part of her.
For me, the world-building aspect of it is to make it feel real. The Naitara kill, which that thing is just so brutal. and so off the hook.
Jax's arms, we've got the stages. First off, Jax comes out and he's emaciated, so the monks are put together, much thinner arms with tendons on the back and little wheels and things. Later, where he gets his arcana, I'm going to take everything I'm shooting and put in an overskin. So we'll get accuracy to what he's doing, how he feels, how he's moving, and then we'll overlay this material.
We just wanted to have a tremendous amount of fun and joy for the audience. What I love is when you see Jax sort of seeing what his arms do, how powerful they are, and they're covered in blood, and he says, yeah, these motherfuckers work. So I think, you know, it's just pure joy of the game right there.
Yeah, these motherfuckers work.
One thing I stressed to everyone very early on was I want this film to be in camera. We did an enormous amount of R&D just on how to make real-looking ice in camera. We had a whole warehouse just building ice tests.
I've done special effects for almost 40 years, and this is the first time I've ever built an ice gun. So the gun can pan and tilt. It's got its firing system, has a timer on it which allows the air receiver to deliver air to this at a specified time. And once you're up high in a scissor lift, you could pick your target with a laser and fire the ice block off. There were a lot of calculations involved. First of all, there was the practicality of forming the ice bullets themselves. The chemistry involved in that is as simple as it sounds, just to make big ice blocks. But the ice expands when it freezes. So we finally came up with a method that we could make the ice block. It was hollow, we had a balloon in there and break well.
Another thing that makes this film very interesting is we've done a lot of practical effects. As you can see here, Naaman's done a fantastic job on all the sets, but this one particularly is my favorite. You feel cold when you're here.
This is coated in breakaway glass. So when it gets impacted by the stunt guy, it'll break off like ice.
Naaman Marshall, the production designer, who is phenomenal, built a dip tank to test these different materials out to make it look like ice was on the chain link fence.
So this is the dipping tank for those big wire pieces, and it's now solid. It takes about a day and a half to heat this slowly enough to get it to a melting temperature, which is around 140, 50 degrees Celsius for the dipping process. There's sort of the chaos of reality that can't be animated sometimes, that I think an audience will believe that it is real, because it is.
Cabal's lair, it's all about fire. We're going in and we're epoxying all the walls within here, so it's gonna be really like black, shiny, and then we're running drip lines around all the edges to have like a flutter down all the walls.
All the fire on the walls is piped in fire.
We're going to hang these. They'll end up being 7 to 10 metres long, 30 feet, and they're burners that will hang down or on the ground. The idea with these is how do we distribute the gas to make an even burn. It's a copper tube with holes, small holes, put in every 100 millimetres, and then it's surrounded by this flexible electrical conduit, and it distributes the gas evenly. Gas is heavier than air, so if you have it vertically and you pump it down, there'll be a big ball of fire at the bottom and nothing up the top because it's heavier than air.
This is all in camera, this is all real. Naaman built a pit for Cabal to land in.
The idea then was that we create these tar pits or more of a leach field. These right here are built walls that are containment, and then we put pond liners or pool liners in here, and then we fill up each one of these.
The amount of discussions about that pit of stuff was just unbelievable.
What the fuck?
Because there's fire around and because someone was going to go into it and be set on fire, it added this other layer of difficulty to it. Daniel Nelson, who's inside the Cabal costume, who's brilliant. He gets set on fire for a living, so he really knew his stuff.
Fatality. This is seeing something that I've been passionate about my whole life finally come to the screen.
For the fans of the game, there are so many things that, we have sought to hold on to. The spirit of the game.
It was just constantly trying to push and push and push to feel as real as possible. The sets that are there, I try and make them feel real. Sometimes I'm less successful, sometimes the realities of production get in the way. But I think as a director, that's your job, to try and sort of move those things out of the way and just keep getting and...
Ah, laser beam! Better than fireballs!
And I think if you sort of pursue that goal and everyone's in line, and then you go, okay, we've got real locations with beautiful cinematography, with these costumes, it starts to have a real beauty to it.
Kids these days, just good at video games, I don't know. Should be outside, playing.